This Budget 101 overview will look at how your city gets money and how it spends that money. First, let's talk about the two kinds of money. It's much like a household budget. The city has monthly expenses, building maintenance, utilities, and salaries, and we pay for them out of the tax revenues we get each year. Then there's one-time money from savings or borrowing that can go for major projects. You can't take the $10 million set aside for a new fire station and pay your firefighters' salaries with it, because pretty soon you're out of money and you can't pay those firefighters. Many people think cities get tax money from the state and federal governments. Not really. There's a bit of federal grant money. The state contributes a bigger amount, but almost all of it is earmarked for things like roads and shared services like courts and jails. But what the state does do is pass down requirements without passing down money to fund those mandates. They're good initiatives like cleaning up the Chesapeake Bay or providing property tax relief for disabled veterans. But Hampton believes that if the state requires something, it really ought to pay for that requirement. In fact, the state has reduced what it funds since the recession hit in 2009. And the state limits the ways that cities can raise funds, which is why cities are so dependent on property tax. Speaking of property tax, it represents almost half of Hampton's local revenue. That revenue source grows when new buildings are built, home values go up, or rates go up. Hampton's more than 400 years old, and there's not a lot of land left to build on. And because we're an older city, many of our houses are older and a little bit smaller. That's good for residents because they stay affordable. In fact, SmartAsset.com says we are the only city in the Mid-Atlantic region that made their list of nation's most affordable beach towns. Sometimes when people think of property taxes, they only look at the tax rate, and they note that Hampton's on the middle to high side for the region. But that's just one factor in your tax bill, which is computed by value divided by 100 times tax rate. Because we are so affordable and you get so much house for your money, our average home value is much lower. That makes Hampton's tax bills the lowest in the region on average. What that means is that a Hampton family is getting the same services for under $2,000 a year. That's the same level of police and fire protection, schools, parks, libraries, etc. that a family in another city might be paying $2,663 for a year. Of course, that's not the only tax that funds our services. Personal and business property tax, mostly known as the car tax, makes up 14% of local revenues. It tends to go up only when the economy is good. Incomes are up and people are buying new cars. Meals tax have been growing as well, as we all eat out more and more. It now accounts for 8% of the city's revenue. Remember, this is a local tax. If you choose to dine in Hampton, you're helping pay for schools and police in our city. If you eat out in another city, you're funding their city. That's also why we have been seeking tourists and conventions. They are a way of getting additional meals and other taxes without our residents paying for them. Sales tax is just behind meals tax. And again, shopping in Hampton is a way to keep your money local. It's also why policies support retail development. If our residents have to leave the city to shop, we are hurting our future. Finally, business license revenues. This is 4% of our total revenue and a number we'd like to grow. So where is the growth? It's been slow. Not just in Hampton, but in the region. The top line of this graph shows the U.S. recovery from the recession. The red line is Virginia, and the bottom purple line is Hampton Roads. But, says the same ODU State of the Region report, things are looking up. Hampton has strategies to grow tax revenues with new sources, adding jobs, housing, tourists, and retail. How are we doing so far? Here are just a few of the businesses or projects that have opened or started construction in the past year. Construction growth is picking up across all sectors in Hampton. And for the next fiscal year, we will see the biggest increase in our property values we've seen in a long time. Some of that is increase in values, but much of it is new construction. Home sale prices are going up, as are home sales. So what does that mean for the Hampton city budget? Revenues have grown, but at less than the pace of inflation. Over those 10 years of not keeping pace with inflation, Hampton has made cuts in almost every area to invest in public safety, which residents have said is their top priority.